You know exactly how it starts. A thought arrives. Small, almost reasonable. A what if, a maybe, a that could go wrong. And before you've had time to examine it, it has already pulled the next thought in behind it, and the next. And suddenly, you are not thinking about a problem. You are inside the problem. You are the problem. And the original thought that started the whole chain was so small, so plausible, that you can't even find it anymore. This is the anxiety spiral. Not clinical anxiety necessarily, though it can be that too. The specific, exhausting, deeply familiar experience of a mind that starts running and cannot find the off switch. A mind that is very good at its job, which is finding danger, and has found danger everywhere, in everything, all the time. Here's what nobody tells you about anxiety spirals. They are not a sign that something is wrong with your thinking. They are a sign that something is working exactly as designed, just in the wrong context, at the wrong scale, without the off switch that the original design assumed would be provided by the environment. Pause. Marcus Aurelius had them. The man who governed the Roman Empire at its height, who handled military invasions, political betrayals, plagues, the deaths of children, the weight of a role no human being should have to carry alone, wrote in his private journals about the same experience. The spiral, the pull into catastrophe, the mind generating threats faster than reason could evaluate them. And he built a system for it, not a philosophy of toxic positivity, not think good thoughts, a precise, structured, psychological system for interrupting the spiral, examining it honestly, and returning to equanimity, not by suppressing what he felt, but by seeing it clearly. That system is what we're unpacking today, completely, with every tool he actually used, applied to the anxiety spiral as you experience it. Not in an empire, but in a career, a relationship, a life that has real stakes, and a mind that takes those stakes very, very seriously. Before we get to the cure, we need to understand the mechanism, because Marcus Aurelius understood the mechanism. He worked from first principles, always, and that understanding is what made his system work. The anxiety spiral begins with what psychologists call an intrusive thought, not an unusual event. Every human brain generates intrusive thoughts, unwanted, often alarming, frequently irrational thoughts that arrive without invitation. Research suggests the average person has thousands of them per day. For most people, most of the time, intrusive thoughts pass. They arrive, the brain evaluates them as low threat, and they dissolve. The process is almost invisible. For the anxious, high-achieving, high-conscientiousness mind, something different happens. The thought arrives and the brain, which is very good at its job, takes it seriously. It runs a threat assessment. The threat assessment finds something plausible. The finding of something plausible triggers another thought. That thought triggers another assessment, and the cascade begins. This is rumination, the clinical term for the thought loop that anxiety spirals are made of. And modern neuroscience has identified exactly what's happening in the brain during rumination. The default mode network, which governs self-referential thinking, becomes hyperactive. The prefrontal cortex, which handles rational evaluation, becomes relatively suppressed. You are, in a very literal neurological sense, less able to think clearly the longer the spiral runs. Which means the instinct to think your way out of an anxiety spiral, to reason with it, to argue with it, to solve the problem it's presenting, is the wrong tool. You are trying to use the very system that is malfunctioning to fix the malfunction. Marcus Aurelius understood this intuitively, 2,000 years before default mode networks were named. He writes in the Meditations, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." The key phrase is weapons of reason, not the spiral of imagination, not the cascade of what-ifs. Reason, specific, grounded, present tense evaluation, applied at the right moment, in the right direction. That distinction is everything. His system is built around that distinction, and it has 5 specific components, each of which targets a different stage of the spiral. The first tool is an interrupt, not a solution, an interrupt, and understanding the difference is critical. When you are inside a spiral, the spiral is about the future, almost always. A future event that might go wrong, a future state that might be painful, a future version of yourself or your situation that is worse than now. The spiral lives in forward projection. Marcus Aurelius's first move is to collapse that projection back to the present moment, not as a meditation technique, as a logical observation. He writes, "Confine yourself to the present." 3 words. But notice what they're doing philosophically. They are not telling you to ignore the future. They are pointing out that the future does not exist yet, and your suffering about it is entirely real, happening right now, in a present moment that is actually fine. Here is the practice. When you notice the spiral beginning, and noticing is the skill you're building, the earlier you can catch it, the better. You ask one question only. Right now, in this moment, is there an actual problem? Not a possible problem, not a projected problem, not a narrative about what could happen. An actual, present, concrete problem that requires action right now. If yes, what is the single next action? Not the solution to everything, the next action, and you take it. If no, and the honest answer is no far more often than the spiral will admit, then what you are experiencing is not a problem. It is a thought about a future that does not exist. And a thought, as Epictetus observed, has power over you only to the extent that you give it power. Marcus Aurelius returns to this repeatedly. Book 8. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? The word he uses, necessary, is not about productivity. It is about whether this mental activity is connected to anything real in the present moment. If the answer is no, the activity has no claim on you. In modern psychological terms, this is called grounding, bringing attention back from the abstract future to the concrete present. What can I see, hear, touch, smell right now? Not because the sensory details are important, because they are real. And real is what the spiraling mind has lost contact with. The interrupt does not end the spiral, it pauses it. It creates a gap. And in that gap, the remaining tools become available. Once the spiral is interrupted, once you have created even a small gap between yourself and the cascade, Marcus Aurelius moves to what is arguably the most powerful analytical tool in the Stoic system. We touched on the dichotomy of control in video 1. Here we go deeper, specifically into how it functions as an anxiety tool and the precise practice Marcus Aurelius used to apply it in real time. The dichotomy is not merely a philosophical principle. In Marcus Aurelius's hands, it is a sorting algorithm, a triage system for the contents of an anxious mind. Here is how to use it during a spiral. Take the thought, the specific, concrete thought at the center of the spiral, and ask, what in this scenario is within my control? Not what should be, not what I wish were, but what actually is. Write it down if you can. The act of writing separates you from the thought. It externalizes it, makes it an object you are examining rather than an environment you are inside. Marcus Aurelius wrote every day. The Meditations is, among other things, a record of a man using writing as a tool for gaining perspective on his own mind. Pause. On one side, within my control, my preparation, my response, my values in this situation, the effort I bring, the honesty with which I engage, how I treat people, whether I ask for help. On the other side, not within my control, the outcome, other people's decisions, their perceptions of me, whether the thing I'm working toward succeeds, whether I am recognized, whether the future unfolds as I hope. Now here is the observation that Marcus Aurelius makes that is almost unbearably precise. The anxiety, the suffering, the spiral, the 3 a.m. catastrophe is always located in the second column. Always. You are not anxious about your own effort or your own values. You are anxious about outcomes you cannot control. You are suffering about a column that was never yours. He writes in Book 6, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is not optimism. This is a surgical observation. The pain is in your grip on the ungrippable, and grips can be released. The practice after the sort is this. For everything in the second column, you say, out loud if you can, it matters. This is not mine. Not dismissively. Not with forced cheerfulness, with genuine recognition. This outcome, this other person's reaction, this future state, it was never mine to control, and my suffering about it has been a case of mistaken ownership. And for everything in the first column, what is the single most important thing I can do right now? Not a plan, not a strategy. One thing, taken now. Because action, real, chosen, grounded action, is the most effective neurological interruption to the anxiety spiral that exists. It moves the brain from threat detection mode to agency mode, from passenger to driver, from the spiral to the present. The third tool is the one that separates Marcus Aurelius's system from almost everything in modern anxiety management. It is more demanding than the others. It requires imagination and honesty simultaneously, and it is extraordinarily effective. Marcus Aurelius practiced what the philosopher Pierre Hadot called the view from above. He would deliberately step back, not from the emotion, but from the scale. He would zoom out from the immediate situation until he could see it in full context, and then further, and then further still. He writes in Book 9, "Treat what happens to you as if you had wished for it, not because you are passive, but because the wish aligns with nature. The obstacle was always part of the path." But the view from above is more specific than this. It is a deliberate, imaginative exercise. Here is how to do it. Start with the situation that is spiraling. Hold it clearly. Now zoom out. Who else has faced this? Not in a dismissive way, not other people have it worse. Genuinely, what is the population of human beings who have faced something structurally similar to what you're facing right now? Now zoom out further. What will this situation look like in 1 year, 5 years, Will it still carry the weight it carries right now at 2 a.m. in the worst minute of the spiral? Now further. Marcus Aurelius actually does this in the Meditations. He zooms out to the scale of history. He thinks about the great emperors and generals who came before him. Caesar, Alexander, Augustus, people whose names filled the world. Where are they now? What remained of their anxiety about outcomes? What of all they worried about turned out to matter at the scale of a human life? He writes, Alexander the Great and his stable boy were leveled by death. Either they were both received into the same generative principles of the universe, or they were both scattered alike into atoms. This is not nihilism. This is perspective. The zoom out does not tell you nothing matters. It tells you that the specific catastrophic weight your anxiety is placing on this specific situation is out of proportion to its actual scale. And that recalibration, even partial, even temporary, interrupts the spiral. The modern research equivalent is called temporal distancing, a technique from cognitive psychology in which you ask your future self to evaluate the current situation. How will I feel about this in 10 years? The brain's threat response measurably decreases when the question is asked sincerely. Distance, temporal or spatial, reduces the intensity of the emotional signal without suppressing it. Marcus Aurelius had no fMRI machines. He had the Meditations, and entry after entry shows him performing exactly this maneuver, deliberately, systematically, as a trained practice rather than an occasional insight. The fifth tool is the one that makes the system cumulative, the one that turns individual practices into a compounding architecture of equanimity over time. Marcus Aurelius, like most Stoics, practiced a daily evening audit, not a productivity review, not a list of accomplishments, a philosophical accounting of the day, honest, specific, and without self-condemnation. The Stoic evening audit has 3 questions. They are simple. The simplicity is the point. First, where did I act in accordance with my values today? Not where did I succeed? Not where did I perform well? Where was I the person I intend to be? In how I treated someone, in how I responded to difficulty, in how I showed up when it would have been easier not to. Second, where did I lose myself today? Where did the spiral take me? Where did I grip the ungrippable? Where did I act from fear or compulsion rather than from choice and values? Not to punish, to see clearly. The Stoics had no patience for self-flagellation. Epictetus is explicit that excessive self-criticism is as useless as excessive other blame. You are not reviewing the day to suffer about it. You are reviewing it to learn from it. Third, what do I want to bring to tomorrow? One thing, not a plan, an intention, a quality, patience, presence, groundedness. One word that functions as a compass for the morning. Marcus Aurelius writes in Book 10, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but count up the chief of the blessings you do possess. And then, thankfully, remember how eagerly they would have been sought if you had them not." This is the closing movement of the audit, not gratitude as a performance, but gratitude as a recalibration. The anxious mind chronically underweights what is present and overweights what is absent or at risk. The audit corrects this systematically, every evening, compounding over time. Researchers studying what they call positive affect regulation, the ability to maintain emotional well-being under chronic stress, have found that consistent reflective practice is one of the most robust predictors of long-term resilience. Not positive thinking, not optimism. Reflection, the deliberate, honest review of experience as a way of integrating it rather than carrying it forward unexamined into the next day and the next spiral. Marcus Aurelius did this for decades. The Meditations is the record. Entry after entry, year after year. A man building an architecture of clarity that could hold the full weight of human difficulty without collapsing. Not because he was born with unusual equanimity, because he built it deliberately, consistently, one evening at a time. Let's put the 5 tools together as a single, usable system. When you notice the spiral beginning, step 1, the present moment, interrupt. Right now, in this moment, is there an actual problem? If yes, one next action. If no, name the thought as a thought and release it. Step 2, the dichotomy check. Sort what's happening into what is and isn't within your control. For the uncontrollable, this is not mine. For the controllable, one action, taken now. Step 3, the view from above. Zoom out, 1 year, 5 years, the scale of a life. Where does this situation sit when you can see the whole map? Step 4, voluntary discomfort. If there is a genuine fear at the center of the spiral, approach it deliberately. Could you survive the worst outcome? Answer honestly. Let the answer do its work. Step 5, the evening audit. 3 questions. Where did I act well? Where did I lose myself? What do I want to bring to tomorrow? 5 minutes, every evening, compounding forever. This is not a system you use once and master. It is a practice. The same practice Marcus Aurelius maintained under conditions that would have broken most people. The conditions of your life are different. The human mind generating the spiral is the same. The system works because the mind hasn't changed. Only the context has. Marcus Aurelius was not a man who achieved equanimity and then applied it. He was a man who built equanimity, entry by entry, day by day, in the middle of everything life threw at him. He was not unafraid. He was not untroubled. The Meditations is full of fear and trouble and exhaustion, and the particular loneliness of carrying more than one person should carry. What it is not full of is surrender. What it shows on every page is a mind that had learned to meet its own spirals, to see them clearly, sort them honestly, and return again and again to the one thing that was always within reach. The present moment, the next right action, the self that exists underneath the noise. That self is available to you too. Not after you fix the anxiety, not after the situation resolves. Now, in the spiral. In the gap the interrupt creates. In the honesty of the sort. In the clarity that comes when you zoom out far enough to see your actual life instead of the story your fear is telling about it. If this series is giving you something real, subscribe. New video every week. Stoic philosophy applied with precision to the psychological reality of living in a demanding, high-pressure, high-stakes modern world. No shortcuts, no surface-level quotes, just the actual work. We'll see you in the next one.